All right, here we go. Time to get some calls in. Remember, we got a very busy show. The commissioner of the NBA at 2. Pettit, Messier, Elaine Vigneault, all coming up. Joe in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. Go ahead, Joe. Start us off. What's up?
Mike, this bum McAdoo gets gifted this job because the offense wasn't even good under Coughlin. So he gets gifted this job because they don't want to switch the offense up on Eli, who's a veteran quarterback. And this is what he does to one of our best players in franchise history. Spits it. Mike, it's a disgrace, and I'm sick to my stomach.
Well, the owner also approved it, though, which is hard to believe. Josh in Newburgh. What's up, Josh?
Hey, Mike. First time, long time.
Thank you. What's happening?
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
I think I got the answer. Freeing up all of this cap space, if he's cut after next year, will free up $10 million. However, if they cut him next year, that $10 million doesn't come off until June of
Not
next
only
year.
that, he has a $5 million roster bonus 5 days after the season ends. 5 days after the season ends, and so odds are he doesn't see that, but they're not going to cut him right now.
I think they're making McAdoo take the fall for this. It's a hard sell to get rid of that guy. He's a great quarterback, a great Giant, and I think
that wasn't a hard sell to get rid of. See, there was a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. Listen, you're making it sound like that the ownership came up with this plan and fed it to McAdoo. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. I think this was coach initiated. I think this was the coach's decision, not the owner's decision, but the owner said, "Do what you want to do." I don't think this was a case of the ownership deciding this is how they're going to get rid of Eli Manning. They could have gotten rid of Eli Manning fine, let him finish the season, and gotten rid of him, and no one would have said a word. Everyone would have understood it. They bring in they bring in a rookie quarterback, which they'll draft. Webb or no Webb, they will draft a quarterback if they're at the top of the draft, and that will make plenty of sense. And if they want to play him next year, they'll play him, which I have no problem with either. So if they want to send Eli packing at the start of the season, now they have a roster bonus for him, $5 million if he's on the roster 5 days, I believe, after the season ends. I'm pretty sure how it reads. We'll look it up, and I'm pretty sure you can look that up, Mons. I think he has a roster bonus 5 days after the season ends that he gets $5 million if he's on the roster. So I don't know that he'll see that. But if that was the case, but you want to do something, cut him now. You won't see him do that. No chance. Sam in Westfield, New Jersey. What's up, Sam?
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Replacing Eli with Geno Smith is almost as bad as replacing Coughlin with McAdoo. But my question is John Mauer the absent-minded professor? Did they not realize that to Giant fans, Eli Manning is their Derek Jeter? Did they miscalculate how popular this guy was? I mean,
they've never thought he was that popular. Plus, let me be fair here for a second. You guys, you Giant fans, a lot of you have not treated Eli Manning like he was Derek Jeter ever. So let's not try to be real. Let's be realistic here. Derek Jeter was honored and glorified and lauded every day as a Yankee. Eli Manning, I've taken 9 trillion calls from Giant fans unhappy with Eli Manning. So let's not act like you guys have treated Eli Manning that way. You have not. You know what? He has been a great player for the Giants, and he has been in every way as exemplary a person as Jeter was for the Yankees. So I agree with that part of the analogy. But let's not say you Giant fans have treated him the way the Yankee fans treated Jeter, because that's just not fair. It's not true either. That's a lot of revisionist history. Gary in Parsippany. What's up, Gary?
Hey, Mike, how are you today?
What's happening?
It just makes me sick that they did this to Eli. I've been a huge Eli fan since he's been in the league, even when he was in college, and I just can't believe they just slapped him in the face like that. It just makes me sick. I won't even root for the Giants this week, next week, the rest of the year, and you watch how long it takes for them to get another quarterback that's as good as Eli.
Well, hopefully they get lucky.
Guy.
Hopefully they get lucky at the draft. I mean, that's the idea. Hopefully they get lucky in the draft and get themselves a good player. I mean, that's not. I'm not against that. That's fine. And they could have done that. All they had to do was let Eli play the rest of the season. I mean, that's what he deserved. That's what he earned. He didn't earn this. Sean in New Jersey. What's up, Sean?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good.
I just want to start by saying that when I got the news on my phone that they were benching Eli, the first thing I did was ran to my truck and threw you on the radio, and it was great to hear you scream out for every Giant fan. We all wanted to scream the same thing, but we don't have the platform you have. But appreciate that. And I also wanted to say, who does this guy think he is? This guy is a bum. His team is 2-9. Since day one, I always got the impression that he wanted to look and sound like Bill Belichick, but he never did a single thing. And now the team is 2-9. It's clear we had a way better team than the way they're performing this year. They're underperforming because of this guy. And this guy, before he leaves, never to be a head coach again in the NFL, he sits down, maybe the greatest Giant ever to put on the uniform. How do they let this bum do that?
Hard to fathom. Now, we don't have to agree with where he ranks. That could be very much debated, but the point is the way he has been treated can't be debated. Dave in Westchester, what's up, Dave?
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
Yeah, Dave.
Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. I totally agree with you on this. This is I'm so upset it's not funny. This is what happened. I think that McAdoo realized, obviously, he's going to be fired. He goes to Mara and says, since I'm going to be fired, why can't I just run the team the way I want to run the team? I don't think Mara even realized what the heck he was signing off on. And now he's in this big debacle of what the heck is going on. And what the sad thing about the situation...
Yeah, I don't think that conversation ever took place. First of all, I don't think they ever discussed their future. And I don't think Mara doesn't know what he's signing off on. He knows exactly what he's signing off on. He understands what he's doing. He runs that team every day.
Possible.
That's not possible. That's not a scenario that I even think makes sense. I mean, I guarantee you they've never discussed next year. I guarantee you.
This is my second point. Anything can happen. I'm going to be rooting against the Giants this weekend.
That's fine.
But I'm saying anything can happen in a football game. If the Giants should win, this guy's going to run around like he won the World Series.
No, they're saying this isn't a 1 week thing. I mean, this is not a 1 week thing. If he has a good game, that doesn't mean anything. This is not a 1 week thing where if he wins on Sunday or Geno plays well on Sunday, he proved his point. That's not his point. This is about the rest of this season. This is about the 5 games. And you know what? This team has struggled in every area. You think all of a sudden Geno's going to wave a magic wand and they're going to be able to block and they're going to be able to catch the ball and all of a sudden the other wide receivers are going to show up? I mean, that's not going to happen. He's still playing with that same cast that Eli's been playing with. And that's a hard cast to play with. Plus, Geno Smith, he can have a good game, but the odds on him having a string of good games is very rare. Look at his body of work. His body of work is he throws many more interceptions than he does touchdowns, and he loses a lot more. And for guys who have played the number of snaps he's played, he's one of the lowest rated quarterbacks in the history of the league. Kevin in Manarak, what's up, Kevin?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
What's happening?
I am sad to say that I am no longer proud to be part of this franchise and to try to represent them after what they've done. And what bothers me the most is I don't understand how the Maras and the Tisch family could be on board with this. After everything he's done, I expect it from Reese, I expect it from McAdoo, but the fact that they're on board is disgusting.
I agree with you. I think you summed it up. I think that's the sentiment. I can buy. Listen, desperate coaches, desperate general managers, trying to do anything to cling to their job, trying to upset anything. You know what? Trying to change the dialogue. All right. You know what? They do crazy things. But how the owner signed off on this is the hard part. I totally agree with you. I could see McAdoo signing off on anything. The team's 2-9. He has no idea what's going on. He's destroyed this team. He's drove it right into the wall. So what's left to be done? You know, it's a mess. So what? He makes it a bigger mess with the quarterback. The fact, though, that the owner allowed him to do this to a player who has meant this to this franchise. You want to alienate this guy for history in this franchise? You want to treat him this way? He's given you some of the greatest glories you've ever had as an owner and as a franchise are wrapped in this player's performance? And you want to treat him this way? This guy who has stayed in the lineup, has showed up for work every day, has never, ever embarrassed this franchise 1 minute, which a lot of players, including a lot of star players for this franchise, can't say. Never anything NFL Man of the Year. Guy who is as exemplary a teammate and performer as you could possibly have. Who shows up for every game, whether he gets beat up or whatever the situation, he's there to play and voiced here to you guys on Monday through me how much he wanted to compete in these last 5 games because he loves the sport and he wants to do everything he can to win? And he gets sat down yesterday? And it told you everything about his teammates yesterday, that they didn't even have the class or the dignity to shut up around him and let him talk to the media. He's been there for a generation. He has done something that these guys in that room have never even dreamed about. He is an all-time great Giant, which none of them are. And they didn't even have the dignity or the class to shut up around him. They made noise and giggled and laughed and weren't paying attention and having a party around him while he's going through this painful thing. They weren't even paying attention to it. They could care less, which is why that team's 2-9. There's only one champion in that room. You know that? And he's standing on the sidelines next week. Dave in Belmar, what's up, Dave?
Hey, Mike, how you doing? I'm agreeing with everything that you're saying here, and the one thing that I don't understand, you just mentioned that you don't think they talked about next year, but what is this going to say about Ben McAdoo if he goes and makes this move and Mara signs off on it, and then they go and fire McAdoo next year? I mean,
well, listen, I don't think this year has. I don't think this stretch has anything to do with next year. I don't think. I mean, it has to do with Eli's next year. It doesn't have anything to do. It doesn't have anything to do with the coaches next year. I don't think. I don't think it sends any message.
That much worse on him if they go and they fire Ben McAdoo after he lets them do this to Eli. Hi, Chris. Hi, Scott.
I don't know Chris and Scott are, but the idea that it makes it worse for McAdoo, who cares? He's 2-9. I don't think anybody's worried about McAdoo right now. That he allowed this coach who has destroyed this team this year and allowed the general manager to sign off on this, and the owner signed off on this to do this to this player, to turn their back on this player this way and scapegoat him. That's the underlying message here. We know we can have a better plan and have a much better chance to win by making this change. So you're telling me that Geno Smith, who at best is a journeyman backup, is your answer over Eli Manning? That's your talent evaluation? Tommy in Fort Lee. What's up, Tommy?
You know, I'm trying to think of more things to say because everybody said what I want to say. But I got to tell you, the more I think about this even more is like, what direction is this franchise going in? Because like, I loved Odell Beckham as the player, but the BS that they've let him get away with, they haven't given Eli Manning an offensive line in 4 years. I still think he's got a couple good years. I mean, I know the NFL has progressed to a more mobile quarterback, and that's not Eli Manning, so he needs a solid offensive line.
It's not Geno Smith, either. Geno Smith is not a mobile quarterback. He's a pocket quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a sidebar.
He's more mobile than Eli is, but he's not what you would call to be a guy who uses his legs a lot.
This is just a slap in the face, Mike. I mean, he's the only guy to beat Belichick in the Super Bowl. I mean, and Brady. I mean,
beat him twice. Didn't beat him once. Beat him twice. Beat him twice. Think about the glory. Think about how John Mara and Jerry Reese, forget McAdoo. He watched those on TV. Think about how those guys felt with the days that Eli gave them in those buildings. When the Giants turned back the mighty Pats, not once, but twice, turned back an undefeated juggernaut. Some people calling it into that game the greatest team of all time. This unbeatable force that was beat by Eli Manning, who in the fourth quarter went 9 for 14 for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns to turn back the unbeatable team and give you that piece of glory. I was in that stadium. I saw Giant fans crying. After that victory and what that victory meant to them. And when he turned around and did it again, And you saw how proud they were of that. That's why you heard what you heard from Tom Coughlin yesterday, that he was disgusted when he saw they did this to Eli Manning, because that's what Eli Manning has meant to this franchise and to the city. And this bumbling fool of a coach at 2-9 is telling you that's what he came up with. That's my game plan. That's what I decided. I had to make a change at quarterback to save the season and turn it around at 2-9. At 2-9, when the guy has been there for 210 straight games. A hollowed streak. The second longest in the history of this league. And what it stands for in terms of doing your job and durability and toughness. Disgrace. No other word for it. Lisa in Whitestone, what's up, Lisa?
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good, what's up?
Well, I'm crying again since pretty much for the better part of 18 hours after every time someone says some of the things you just said. And to me, Eli has always been golden. I have never once had a day, a moment where it wasn't that I was an Eli apologist. To me, Eli was magnificent in every way. He was, to me, better than Derek. And as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I hated McAdoo last year, never mind, and when he was the offensive coordinator. I never wanted Tom to go right then because I felt they didn't give him the things he should have. To have done this to Eli Manning, to see the reaction from ex-teammates who usually don't speak out to the extent and the intensity that they have.
No, you're right,
to
they
see
haven't.
what Carl Banks had said, Dave Tollefson, David Deal, Sean O'Hara. I mean, on and on. And the fact is that, I mean, you know, even that crazy Marshawn Lynch, that lunatic, he said this makes as much sense as passing the ball at the 1 yard line in the Super Bowl.
He's right about that.
So the thing is, Mike, that my biggest problem is that with this is that I am so heartbroken that they would basically, I mean, we know that Reese and McAdoo are trying to save their jobs. This McAdoo, I can't even begin to tell you how I feel about him. And Reese just needs to go. But the fact is that to wound and hurt and humiliate our Eli like this, I could barely watch him yesterday. And the fact is that it would be one thing if this were the coach and that were it and the GM and they had total autonomy. That's kind of the way it were run. My problem is, Mike, after 40 years of being a diehard Giant fan like I am a Yankee fan, it doesn't matter what happens next year. This goes to the heart of John Mara. John Mara allowed this to happen. I can't possibly root for an organization that would do this to Eli Manning. I can't.
Thanks for the call. Back after this.